So this is the first screen that you're going to see when you log into Kaizen for the first time. Now, as you can see, everything else is empty, number of clients, the hours logged, tickets, projects, contracts and all that kind of stuff. The only thing that you're going to see that is populated with data is the number of employees, which is going to be 1, signifying the default admin account that was created when you registered your company or organization. But every other section here is going to be empty. You're not going to find any data because nothing has been inputted into that so far. So I'm just going to quickly go into the settings. This is where probably you want to start changing. Maybe the organization name, the company emails, all these parameters that you might need to change just to make sure that it is customized to you. So you can change this admin account, you can change notification settings. These are more technical, we can get into that later, but you might just want to verify that the currency settings are okay. By default, we put it in Malawian Kwacha because that's what the country where we reside in. But if you use a different currency, then this is where you would like to change, and just to make sure that everything is okay. But I'll leave the other settings for now, just to make sure that we can get to the more exciting stuff. And let us start with the HR section. This is where you probably want to start because there is a workflow in Kaizen that some things depend on the data that has been put in certain sections. So I'm going to start with the designation, and this is where you must start. Start creating designations because these are going to be required when you're adding employees. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and say CEO, maybe Chief Executive Officer. And this is very, very easy. So you'll be able to add this very quickly. I think I clicked twice. I'm just going to delete the other one and add another one. Let's go graphic designer. And let's say HR human resource officer. Yeah, but you get the idea. So here is where you create the titles for the people that are going to be in your organizations, and here is where you create the departments. What you want to do after that is to go to the employee list so that you can start now creating employee details, right? So here you go to add new employee. And here's the employee ID. This is according to your organization's policy or format. And then you go to employee name, and I'm just going to say Ishmael Malata, for example, and employee email is i.malata@so-to-infinity, which is essentially your organization's email, domain-based emails, and then put the password there. And yeah, so if they have a Slack username, you can integrate it here. You can just put it here. It's going to automatically connect with their Slack account. Joining date, I'm just going to say maybe this is June, and then exit date. Let's say according to their contracts, maybe it's in August 2023, and their gender is male, obviously. Skills, you can choose to put the skills here. This is an optional field, but we're just going to leave it for now. So designation, this is the data that's going to be populated on the previous section that we entered. But you can also, if you're an admin, you can also add the designation using this button. So if you hadn't entered those designations earlier, you can just come here and say, okay, let's say technician, right? Technician, and then go there. And then if you charge these people per hour, you can put the hourly rates here. All right. You can also enable their login. Obviously, you want them to log in. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense just to add them. But also, sometimes you may not want them to log in because maybe these are people that may not really use Kaizen. So, for example, if you have a cleaner, for example, maybe they don't have the devices to use to log into Kaizen. You can just say, okay, disable their login. But in this case, we are going to leave it open and make sure that we enable the email notifications so that they can get email notifications of whatever is going on in Kaizen. But This can be annoying because then you get so many emails. It is recommended that you just choose disable so that they get the notifications using this interface here in Kaizen. You can assign them to a department. So let's say administration, and yeah, so this is administration, and then you can put their phone number here. The already we've talked about already. The language is English by default. If you have their pictures, you can add it here. I'm just gonna do something very quickly, it's just for demonstration purposes. And then if you save it, it's going to save the employee. Okay, so yes, I'm using an employee number that has already been used for another organization. So I'm just gonna say okay, let's just say ISTI is to I-11111. That's basically depends on what your organization uses. So if you save it, I believe this data is valid now, and that has been created successfully. So now you have one employee. This is an admin. All right, you have one employee, you can add another one, but that is simply the process that you go to. All right. After you added all the employees, you might want to start now adding the projects. All right. So the projects are essentially the broader kind of work categories that you do at your organization. All right, it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual proper project. You can just say maybe administrative work or whatever it is, because this is needed when you're creating tasks and when you're trying to measure the progress of an employee. All right, so in this case, I'm just going to do trial project. And project category. You can add project categories here, but it's not a necessary field. But just for demonstration, you can say, okay, this is maybe to do with education. After you do that, you can say, okay, this is a health-related project, or agriculture, whatever it is, right? So here you can choose the category of your projects. If you do a lot of projects, this might help you when you're trying to access your data quickly. So what's the start date? We are starting today, and maybe it's ending in November 2022, but you can also say it doesn't have a due date, as long as that is accurate. All right. You can allow manual time logs. I'm going to explain this a little later, but for now, let's check it. You can add project members. Now, these populates the data from the employee section. So if you only have one employee, that's what you're going to have. We wrote Ishmael instead of Ishmael, but that's fine. And yeah, you can put notes in there. You can add clients, or maybe donors, for example. Maybe that project is sponsored by a certain donor. You can add these people here. So let's just say Save the Children. All right, this project is sponsored by Save the Children, and then you say save at children. This is just test data. I'm just going to need that for certain purposes .org. So if you do that and add them, this client is going to be able to log into your account of Kaizen and just be able to look at the tasks that you're doing for that particular project. They're not going to be able to see your employees, your clients, other clients, your donors, or whatever it is. They will just be able to see this particular project. This I'm going to explain more a little later, because it's such an important tool in Kaizen that we made sure is available. If you have the budgetary information, you can add it here. Let's just say that money and hours allocated, maybe yes, but this is in progress, the project status. If you want to upload any documents related to that project, you can add them. Usually projects have concepts, what, you can add those here and save it. So now every task that you're going to do, you're going to have an option to assign it to a specific project. All right, so this is where you can write contracts. Before I just go to the task section, contracts essentially just what kind of contracts do you have? All right, and what are they? Like you can choose the client here. subject, the topic of the title of the contract, amount, contract type. You can add the contract types here, start date, end date, contract name, all those things regarding the contract that may be useful for new employees or people who are just trying to review it. But we are not going to get any data into that. We are going to go straight to tasks. All right, so the tasks are the main feature of Kaizen. The whole reason why Kaizen was created was to primarily make it possible for employee to create, share, and manage tasks. Okay, so when you want to start creating a task, it's as easy as let's say make a presentation on Kaizen. Right? Let's work with what we have. I can choose now. This is optional. You can choose to assign this task to this project, or you can just choose to make it not assigned to any project. Right? So if you do try a project. Task category here, you can choose to add categories for the task, but it's also optional. So you can say maybe this is content creation, maybe this is content development, for example, or maybe this is to do with video production, or whether this is just writing, this is maybe to do with electricals, I don't know, whatever it is that your organization does, you can choose to put those here, but it's optional. As I said, you don't have to put it, but sometimes it helps just when you're trying to filter, how many tasks have I done under video production. All right, so you can say this task has to be done from today up to tomorrow, Thursday, which is Friday, right? Now, as an admin, you can choose to assign these tasks to the people that are assigned to that project. This is very important. Like when you're creating a project, you have to assign people to that project. Those are the people that the system is going to present to you when you're trying to assign it to a certain project. Now you can just also here, this is going to allow you to add employees quickly so that you don't have to go back and start creating employees and then get back to the project screen. Here, right here on the task screen, rather, you can create employees and add them to the tasks. All right, you can assign one task to one or more individuals, right? You can make that task private so that maybe not even other people cannot see it. Maybe it's sensitive. Maybe you're trying to fire somebody. You don't want that task to be available for everybody. You can make it billable so that it starts calculating the amount of money that's going to be deducted for that particular task. You can set a time estimate if you know how much it's going to take, approximately. You can choose to make this a repetitive task. So for example, if you have meetings every Monday, right? Every Monday at 9:30, you don't have to write this task every time, every week. You can just say this, okay, this is going to repeat for 10 times, maybe for these months. And maybe it's going to repeat on a day, on a weekly basis rather, and the cycles, maybe it's one per week, right? So that is going to create itself for 1 week basing on these parameters on the time, but we are not going to make it repetitive. You can set the priorities, low, high, medium, depending on how important that task is. So now you have created one task, and I'm just going to create another task as well. I know why I want to do that. Test new application, right? I'm from the IT section, so these are the things that are coming to my head. All right, so anyway, let's just put it there. You can write the description here. You can put another deadline here, which is Tuesday. Assign it to Ishmael Malata, and don't make it private. Priority is high as well, and then you save it. All right. So now, as an admin, you have created this task for this person. You haven't created them for yourself. So what we're going to do is to make sure that we log into Kaizen as that person so that they can see their tasks and everything else. So I'm just going to do this. Just want to make sure I remember the name of that person, the login details. So right here, Mr. Ishmael Malata, just copy it. And then we are going to log in as that person.